She honked her horn in the middle of the funeral and shouted, "You people can't block the path." Everyone froze. The priest stopped mid-sentence. My hands, still covered in dirt from helping lower my son's coffin, began to shake. I looked up and saw her, Karen, sitting in her shiny white SUV, sunglasses on, engine running. "Parked right on my son's grave, move that car," I shouted, my voice cracking, but she only rolled down her window and said coldly, "This isn't a parking lot." I yelled back, "Then why isn't it marked?" Gasps rippled through the crowd. My wife collapsed into my arms, sobbing uncontrollably. The cemetery worker sprinted toward her, waving his arms, but Karen only smirked. "I have every right to be here," she said. "My HOA owns this land." She threw those words out like she owned the entire world. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. "This isn't HOA property," I said quietly. "This is sacred ground." But she scoffed, slammed her door, and stood tall beside her car, like a self-appointed queen guarding her throne. That moment burned into me. My son, a soldier, died overseas protecting other people's freedom. And this woman was disrespecting his resting place. Phones came out. People started recording. Karen shouted, "Go ahead. I'll call the police on all of you for harassment." When the real officers arrived, she pointed straight at me and screamed, "He attacked me." "Arrest him." That's when I realized she wasn't just entitled. She was dangerous. Because when the officers asked for her ID, something strange happened. She pulled out a badge, a fake one, and claimed she was with the HOA enforcement team. The officers exchanged uneasy looks. I whispered, "You disrespected my son's grave. Now you'll see what real justice looks like." What she didn't know was that my son's commanding officer was standing right behind me. A tall man in uniform stepped forward. His voice was calm but cold. "Ma'am," he said, "show me that badge again." Karen stiffened, pretending to stay composed. "I told you," she said. "I'm with the HOA Enforcement Division. You people are trespassing on private property." The man interrupted her, his voice echoing through the quiet cemetery. "Private property? This is a federal burial ground. Do you even realize what you've done?" Her face drained of color. "Well, it's not marked properly." "How was I supposed to know?" she stammered. People gathered near the fence, recording every second. My wife was still kneeling beside the coffin, whispering our son's name. Karen reached to grab the badge back, but the officer didn't move. "You forged a federal emblem," he said slowly. "That's a felony." Her lips trembled, but she still tried to sound powerful. "You can't arrest me. My husband's on the HOA board. We own half this neighborhood." The man stared her down. Then he spoke words that silenced everyone. "Ma'am, I'm not local police. I'm Captain James Walker, U.S. Army. Your HOA rules don't apply here." Karen blinked. "Army, but He cut her off. "This man's son was one of my soldiers. You parked your car on his grave." Gasps filled the air. Karen's fake confidence shattered. I didn't mean any harm. It was just a mistake." I stepped closer, voice trembling but firm. "You didn't make a mistake. You made a choice. And now you'll answer for it." Captain Walker nodded toward the police. "She's under arrest. Desecration of a veteran's grave and impersonating a federal officer." The sharp click of handcuffs echoed across the cemetery. Karen screamed, "This isn't fair!" I didn't do anything wrong. But no one moved to help her. Her SUV sat on the grass, tires sinking into the soft earth. I looked down at my son's grave, then at the folded flag beside it. "You see, son," I whispered, "even now your honor still wins." But something told me it wasn't over. When officers opened her car for towing, the smell of alcohol and perfume hit the air. The tow driver stepped back as an officer called, "Captain, you might want to see this." Inside were stacks of envelopes, some with HOA seals, others handwritten, each stamped "Final Notice Property Violation." The crowd murmured. One worker whispered, "That's the same letter she left on our gate last week." Captain Walker flipped through the envelopes, frowning. "These are fake," he said. "Every single one," Karen shouted from behind her cuffs. "They're not fake. I was told to deliver them." "By who?" Walker asked. She hesitated. "By the HOA president. Mr. Landon. He said we needed to enforce order." I clenched my fists. "You mean he told you to fake eviction letters and harass families? Even at a cemetery?" Karen's voice shook. "He said it was for community safety." "I didn't know it was illegal." Captain Walker turned to the police. Get a search warrant for the HOA office. We might have a bigger problem. The crowd erupted, people whispering, others shouting. She made my grandma cry with those letters. They fined me for flying an American flag. Karen broke down sobbing. I just followed orders. I didn't mean for this to happen. I looked at her, then at the scattered envelopes. You parked on my son's grave and lied to this entire town, I said quietly. Now you're going to tell the truth. She will, Captain Walker said. Under oath. But just as the police began towing the car, another officer called out, Captain, there's something else in the trunk. He opened it carefully. Inside was a metal box stamped with the HOA seal. When the captain opened it, the crowd gasped. Inside were bundles of cash and a list of names. Karen's, Landon's, and dozens of homeowners, including mine. This isn't just harassment, Walker said. This is fraud. Karen's eyes filled with panic. It wasn't Landon's idea, she whispered. It was his wife's. She's the real boss. Walker's jaw tightened. So the president's wife runs the scam? Karen nodded through tears. She made the fake fines. I just delivered them, please. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Before anyone could speak, a black SUV screeched to a stop near the gate. A woman in a red blazer stepped out. Diamond earrings, sharp glare. What's going on here? She demanded. Unhand my board member. Captain Walker turned slowly. You must be Mrs. Landon. She gave a thin smile. There's been a misunderstanding. Karen is loyal. We'll handle this internally. Not today, Walker said firmly. You've been running a fraud ring, faking HOA fines and stealing from veterans' families. Her eyes flickered. Then she smirked. Prove it. The captain lifted the metal box. Already did. Her face drained of color. Police surrounded her and Karen, cuffing them both. Karen sobbed as they were led to separate cars. I stood by my son's grave as sunlight broke through the clouds. The light touched his headstone, his name glowing bright. Captain Walker rested a hand on my shoulder. He protected this country, he said softly. And today, his honor protected it again. Weeks later, the judge sentenced Karen and Mrs. Landon to 10 years in prison for fraud and desecration. The HOA was dissolved, and for the first time in years, the town felt peaceful. At the next memorial, I placed fresh flowers on my son's grave and whispered, Justice served. Soldier. Then I looked up at the flag waving above the cemetery and said, They tried to control everything, but freedom always wins, the end.